guy helping me out, but that's okay. Thank you so much, Dale. And thank you to Midhurst ratepayers for this invitation and the opportunity to attend. I am very thrilled to be a member of an organization that's partnered with what I call sometimes the little ratepayers group that could. And the reason I call them that is because it started with a small group of people and had a really big problem to address, and how it is so much like the mega quarry issue in Melanchthon. So I've been asked to talk about the importance of farmland preservation. And I think a lot of us know already. I don't want to go into stats that you've all heard 100 times. However, the Ontario Federation of Agriculture says we're losing 350 acres of farmland per day in Ontario. The Ontario government, with the implementation of the Places to Grow Act, has assumed substantial growth projections extending, I think, until about 2041, and much of this to occur by building on farmland. And Midhurst ratepayers, on your website, you measure this loss in distance, a kilometer, I think, a day. And I think that's a really smart way to resonate with the public. It's important to get those optics in place so that people really have a sense of what you're talking about. What we did was superimpose a cutout of the mega quarry over Toronto, and you could move it around to different neighborhoods so that people can see, oh yeah, actually that's an awful lot of land. It really resonated with the urbanites. We are very hard pressed in these battles to convince the average citizen of a looming food security issue when we access grocery stores that are bursting with food. What we see around us all the time is plenty. Those are the optics. Drive to Sarnia, go to Kingston, and see all the farmland. And yet, our population's going up, the farmland's going down. At some point, we might have a serious problem. With the mega quarry application, it was argued that the pit could be rehabilitated back to agriculture. With 6 million liters a day of aquifer draining into it, and itself being 20 stories deep, I guess they were talking about fish farming because it really wouldn't be suitable for anything else. We found out from Professor Van Acker at our public meeting April 5th that rehabilitated land is never truly the same, and often or usually of lower quality. With subdivisions, however, farmland is permanently gone, and it is, in that sense, a non-renewable resource that just cannot be recreated. In looking at our current food situation, how much of the food we eat is local? Ontario agri-exports are $12 billion annually. That's pretty impressive. But we import $21 billion annually into Ontario, 2013 statistics. Well, that's kind of funny. So with all this farmland, why is it we're importing almost 50% of what we eat? And there's a number of reasons, of course, but in part because so little of the farmland that we have is prime food-producing land. Class 1 being the highest quality, producing the highest tonnage. More than 56% of Canada's Class 1 soil is in Ontario. So some of that 350 acres a day or kilometer is a particularly rare and precious resource. But still, why bother protecting farmland when importing seems to be serving our needs rather well? A number of reasons. So local food is fresher, more nutrient rich, and therefore better for you. That's the reason that people go to farmers markets. Food that travels long distances not only loses its nutrient value, but the impact of that travel on the environment contributes to climate change. So that is not a sustainable food system. Agriculture is the largest economic driver in Ontario. Not a lot of people know that. They would guess another industry. Farms translate to jobs, which translates to healthy and vibrant communities. The impacts of climate change are being felt around the world. Rain-fed agricultural land is disappearing in a number of regions. Ontario has the climate environment to support agriculture. Studies show that rain-fed agricultural land is directly related to the prosperity of the region. Even more reason to protect what we have. Cattle producers, potato growers, many groups of farmers can tell you how quickly the world changes in an instant when borders close and when problems are discovered or suspected with foods that we export. And how about when imported foods are discovered to have substances in them that aren't for human consumption? Locally, growers must adhere to strict practices and regulations. When you pick up that item that comes from somewhere else, do you know what their standards are? Who's checking the quality and safety of our imports? Ask yourself that the next time you're in a grocery store. So our homegrown produce is healthier and it's more reliable. So in terms of losing farmland, when do we say enough already? And this isn't an exact science. We don't really know. Not everyone's in agreement. So maybe it's enough now. But you know, maybe it was enough a while ago, and our local food movements and consumer demand haven't caught up yet. What we do know that is our path of perpetual growth and importation is not sustainable. We do know local food systems are reliable, and resilient. There is lots of good news too. The local food movement's growing. People are starting to get it. Farmers markets are bustling, and this brings lots of opportunity with it. And it's one thing to sound the alarm bells, to tell people there's something of urgency, raise the issues, but give people something to do. And everybody can do something, even if just a little bit. You don't have to be a radical, you don't have to stand up and do public speaking, but just ask some questions. Where's the Ontario produce, please? Very simple question. Is this imported? Does it need to be? What items on your menu are sourced locally? Ask the questions. Provide feedback to those people that are part of our food system. Thank your grocer for the local food options. Thank the chef for the local food options. Create the consumer demand. You have the ability to do that. You all here, all of us today, everybody has the power to shift the food system to one that we should be passing on to our children. You're the government. Remember that. You decide what's best, and you let your representatives know, loud and clear. Tell them enough. Join the food movement. Sign the Food and Water First Pledge, of course. So members, ratepayers, and guests, and everybody attending today, thank you, thank all of you for reminding us what's really important and who should really be in charge. Thank you for reminding us that when we're right and when we are committed, a small group of people can form a better future for our children and move mountains. Thank you.